Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
Every week, Cole Thompson joins us to talk all things NFL. So we go out to our progressive guest line right now, and we bring on the reporter and insider / writer at Sports Illustrated. Cole, appreciate the time as always. Thanks for being with us.
I am so sorry. It is a Tuesday and not a Monday. It throws all of our schedules off.
Yes,
but I'm glad I'm here.
It does. It's a little different, but it's the same hard hitting analysis that the people need. So let's get right to it. Morgan Moses. Let's start there. There was a report from ESPN last week that the Jets and Moses were coming close to a long-term contract, and then we heard nothing. What are you hearing about Morgan Moses? Do you think ultimately he's a Jet when it's all said and done?
So I've been talking about this for a while since he's released from Washington. I thought the first place he was going to go was New York. They have the salary cap, they have the cap space, and they can sign into a long-term deal, which he really is deserving of when you break down his statistical line. Overall, he has been a constant right tackle for Washington, and in reality, the reason why he was not retained was because of the salary cap price that they were going to save after bringing in Charles Leno. Remember, they're paying Charles Leno $7.5 million. They were able to save $17 million by cutting ties with Moses. But I do believe Jets will be the ultimate organization for him. When you look at the salary cap, when you look at what the team is trying to build, and most importantly, with a young quarterback in place with Zach Wilson, you have the left tackle of the future in Mekhi Becton. You have a really good guard in Elijah Vera Tucker. You also have some really solid pieces to kind of go around Wilson with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter in the running back field. But you need to get that right tackle to solidify both bookends. I think signing Moses to a 2 or even a 3-year deal makes a lot of sense for New York. He's still playing great ball. He actually played very heavily through injury the last 2 seasons with Washington. So his durability is at an all-time high, and his aggressiveness is also there. So I believe the two sides can get a deal done, something maybe around $7.5 million a year, $8 million a year. It really would not be a bad price for New York, especially by then they should be in line to really contend for the AFC East and maybe the AFC altogether.
What do you think the main reason why he hasn't signed yet? Is it as simple as, well, his camp is just trying to get more teams involved, see if they could squeeze some more money for their client? Is there something else? Why do you think at this point we hear, oh, they're coming to terms, it looks like it's going to happen, and then here we are a couple of days later and we're still waiting?
If I were to say anything, it would be length of a contract. That's the biggest deal. I don't think enough people talk about how these older players, even though they are veterans, want multi-year deals. They want to be secure. They want to be able to have that guaranteed money kind of put away. So even if they are cut next season, they've already been paid enough to where they feel content with their own personal lives. And a lot of these, overall older veterans, especially the offensive line, they get 1-year prove-it deals to show that they're still stable. I mean, when you look at what happened with Trent Williams out with the San Francisco 49ers, they traded a 3rd and a 5th round pick for a guy who was entering a contract year and didn't play for over a season because of the staff in Washington. Now this time around, Moses, who does have some durability concerns overall because of his body and because of the injuries that he's sustained in practices and during training camp, those are some things you have to question. But I do think that when you look at his stat line, he is wanting a multi-year deal. And if he can't get a multi-year deal right away, I think he's trying to hold out until someone is either going to offer him one, or potentially the Jets just kind of come forward and either offer him more money up front or at least a 2-year deal with an option somewhere involved.
So finally, when you look at the Jets' offensive line, if they're able to add Moses, and then you have a offensive line with Mekhi Becton on it, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Morgan Moses, I mean, that's 3 key cogs you think going forward, right, for Zach Wilson to have some real protection to help him jumpstart his career.
I would say so. I think that really does well with the run game. Keep in mind that Elijah Vera Tucker was one of the top run blocking tackles coming out of USC during the 2020 season, and Morgan Moses is one of the top run blocking tackles right now, according to Pro Football Focus. You add him in with Mekhi Becton, who's coming off a really great stretch of 6 games towards the end of the season. If he can continue to build on that, we're looking at an all-pro consensus every single season for Becton. You still have a Pro Bowl level guy in Moses. You still are going to be able to have a high-end productive mauler in the trenches in Vera Tucker, which is where he better fits. He's also very versatile, so you can play kind of anywhere, right guard, left guard, center if you really want to, right tackle, so you can kind of move him around. Those are three really strong pieces. Now, again, everything has to work with Wilson behind the line of scrimmage, and I do think it is going to take a year or two for New York to finally get back into the driver's seat of contention, but I do like the three pieces that they have for a young quarterback and a mobile quarterback that likes to move outside the pocket. All three can move very well, and they can continue to keep blockers away from him when he tries to maneuver out.
Cole Thompson with us here in his weekly spot on our progressive guest line, talking all things NFL with Cole, who covers the league for Sports Illustrated. Follow him on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. All right, Cole, in that video that came out yesterday of Tom Brady on HBO's The Shop, he's referring to someone as an MFer. Who do you think the quarterback is that Tom Brady was referring to as an MFer?
I know everyone has been saying Derek Carr, but when you look at Derek Carr's stat line, it's actually really solid. He's over 4,000 passing yards in the last 3 seasons. So I'm going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, San Francisco is his home. San Francisco's near, where he grew up. He is a California native, and a lot of people have said for a while he wanted to play for the 49ers before he retired. And it looked like at one point he was even considering going to San Francisco, and San Francisco was interested in him as well. But instead, they elected to keep Jimmy Garoppolo fresh off of a 2019 NFC Championship appearance. And what happened? Jimmy Garoppolo's injuries start happening. They miss out on the playoffs again. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay. They win the Super Bowl. When you look at what was needed in San Francisco, honestly, you could say that the quarterback was the biggest downfall for the 49ers in 2020, even if Garoppolo was healthy. Adding in Tom Brady with the guys that you had there, and Deebo Samuel, and Raheem Mostert, and Brandon Ayuk, and with a really, really, really solid offensive line with Trent Williams now there that only got better in the offseason at several position upgrades, like an interior guard with Aaron Banks out of Notre Dame. This is a team that's ready to come back and make a big-time statement. A lot of the reasons they struggled last year was due to injury, not production. But if Jimmy Garoppolo cannot get the job done, I mean, we're talking about Trey Lance hopefully being the future. Instead, you could have had Tom Brady back in his home state for another 3 to 4 years and potentially take home 3 or 4 more Lombardi trophies, something that the 49ers, a very historically winning team in the history of the NFL, has been trying to do since the days of Joe Montana and Steve Young.
I'm totally with you. I think it's clearly Jimmy G. I mean, he has a relationship with Garoppolo. He essentially forced him out. Belichick wanted to choose him over Brady originally, so I'm with you there. I think it is Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, how about an update on the Texans and Deshaun Watson? They, of course, canceled minicamp, so nothing to worry about until training camp. Do you think the NFL will come in with some sort of resolution to whether or not Watson will be placed on the exempt list by the time training camp were to open up in July?
I don't believe they will come to some exemption at that point, but I do believe they will before the start of the regular season. I think everything right now is about the civil case. Still 22 counts of sexual misconduct and sexual assault, a grand total of 23 lawsuits, 1 taken out. So Watson still has to face the music, and Watson and his staff are still trying to get ahead with the mediation that can begin starting in February of 2022, where women can actually come forward and speak their testimony before Watson speaks his testimony in April of 2022. So for Watson, I still believe that ultimately he is not playing this year. I believe the NFL is doing as much investigation as possible to see if he is able to sit on the commissioner's exempt list. Because again, at the end of the day, you're trying to protect your players. They're also trying to protect the salary cap and the team structure. I do believe that Watson, even though we know the situation has gotten sour, will not have an answer on his status until probably closer to week 1 in the early start of training camp. But as we all know, he has reported still holding out and he still is requesting the trade. So I do not believe that he will return to NRG Stadium on July 27th.
Cole Thompson with us, Sports Illustrated NFL reporter. Find him on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. Cole, you look at Aaron Rodgers in that situation. He obviously didn't report to mandatory minicamp. That was expected. What happens this summer, though? Does he show up eventually to training camp? Does he take this holdout into the regular season? Does Green Bay trade him? What's your latest feel for how the Rodgers situation plays out?
So again, everyone that I've spoken to, everyone around the area knows this is a very quiet situation. Not much is coming out from Green Bay's side. Nothing is coming out from Aaron's side. But what I do believe, just based off of Aaron's personality, and again, this may be something that sounds a little controversial, but if you look at history, it probably is true. Aaron's arrogance at times gets the best of him. And what I do think could happen is if Jordan Love really progresses, and we did see in glimpses at training camp that he was at least moving forward on several days. One bad day, one great day, one good day. So kind of right in the middle. If he excels to that second level, that great day every day, connecting with receivers 30 yards down the field, finding a consistency with new targets like Amari Rodgers or Robert Tunyon or even Devontae Adams, finding stability behind an offensive line and being even a little bit more mobile than Aaron Rodgers. I believe that Rodgers' arrogance will get in the way at some point and say, I'm back. I'm not losing my job to this kid. I'm not losing this because of this reason, and I'm not sitting out because if you refuse to trade me. I then believe you will see kind of a very similar situation with the last dance. Keep in mind that Rodgers does have an opt-out. If the team is not willing to part ways with Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy, they likely are going to part ways with Aaron Rodgers. But let's go ahead and try and win one more Super Bowl. You were 26-6 in the last 2 years under the current head coach. You arguably have the number one wide receiver in the NFL, Devontae Adams. Let's go ahead and try one last time to get this job done. If Jordan Love progresses immensely, I believe Aaron Rodgers will be at training camp well before week 1 against New Orleans.
Cole, yesterday, Raiders defensive end Karl Nassir became the first openly gay active NFL player. He posted about it on his Instagram page. Are we going to get to a point, you think, in the future here where, things like that no longer become breaking news, no longer become a big deal?
I hope. I can just say from my own personal experiences of growing up in an LGBTQ household, I've always been surrounded by love and support of my family, and I have multiple family members who are allies or members of the LGBTQ family. And I believe that this is a great deal for Karl Nassir. For him to be able to represent so many other players, like an RK Dawkins, or a Ryan O'Callahan, or a Roy Simmons, or a Michael Sam, players who came out before or right after they were playing in the NFL because they were too afraid. Michael Sam really was the pioneer, but for Karl Nassir to be the first openly gay player in the NFL, likely going to be on an active roster, it's a great deal. And what I do believe is more than anything, it's a great door opening for all other players and personnel and coaches and executives who are remaining in the closet to feel safe enough to come out. Congratulations to Karl Nassir. Congratulations to his family. And I pride how well the NFL has handled this, from the fan base, from the players, from the coaching staff, from everyone in the building. I believe it's a great deal for the NFL and for the LGBTQ family, especially in Pride Month. But I do hope that one day we do not need to use this as a motivation of coming out. Where coming out is as simple as just saying, hello, my name is, and I am a member of this organization. Congratulations to him. And make sure if you do want to help donate, you can always donate to the Trevor Project. It is a great foundation.
Cole Thompson, SI NFL writer and reporter. Follow him on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. Cole, appreciate the time as always. Talk to you soon.
Same time next week.
Cole Thompson with us there in his weekly spot talking all things NFL with Cole. Interesting points he made on the Jets and Morgan Moses. I've been asked a lot, why haven't they signed him yet? I think it's negotiation. I think it's clear the Jets have the most money because they have the team with the most salary cap space. The Jets want him. But Joe Douglas is not an idiot. He's not going to overspend. He's not going to bid against himself. So Morgan Moses' agent, I'm sure, is taking the Jets offer and going to every team being like, hey, can you match this? Can you beat it? And then the Jets would then have to offer more to beat that offer. Doesn't seem like that's happened. So I think eventually Morgan Moses becomes a Jet. It's just going to take some time, as a lot of these situations usually do. So good stuff there from Cole on the latest with Moses and, of course, everything else going on around the NFL. We will take a quick break, wrap up hour 1 of 2. This is the Jake Asman Show here on Sports Map Radio, Facebook, and Twitch. We're coming right back.
Wake up, Cole!
I don't like